everyone, welcome back to my channel and to another video. If you're new here, my name is Nikita, and on this channel we chat about inclusion and diversity of BIPOC stories in fiction and literature as well as in real life. So we talk about books, we have book chats, book recommendations, as well as my podcast called Brown People Problem. Perfect, welcome to another video. I know we're almost at the halfway mark in the year, so it's a little bit maybe early for this, but since I have read a lot of books already this year, as of the time of filming this, I'm close to 50 books. Don't ask me how. So I had a few books that are already easily my favorite books of 2023 so far. So I wanted to share those with you and see if any of these pique your interest. Some of them you've probably heard me talk about a lot already, but some of these might be new to you. All right, first up, we have The Murder of Mr. Wickham by Claudia Gray. Now, I just saw this on Goodreads. As you know, they have those lists of anticipated releases, and I believe this came out last year, but I got around to it this year, and it was incredible. I think I gave this 5 stars, but this is essentially, if you like Agatha Christie and if you like Jane Austen, you're going to love this. So essentially what this book is about is Mr. Knightley and Emma from Emma are throwing a party, and they've invited everyone, and everyone includes like the characters from all of the other Austen novels. Like you've got like Mr. Darcy. Yeah, you got all the characters. You've got Mr. Darcy, Mr. Bertram, like all of the couples from all of the Jane Austen novels, and they come together for this house party at Emma's and Mr. Knightley's. And there's a murder of Mr. Wickham. If you remember Mr. Wickham, he was sort of this like villainous character. I believe it was from which Austen, I forget which Austen novel, but essentially he's you know all of these characters if you've read the Austen novels, and he gets murdered, and it's a house party, and who's solving the murder? Jonathan Darcy, who's the Darcy's son, and then you've got someone called Juliet Tilney. She's the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Tilney, I forget, from Catherine and Henry. So these two come together, they're young in their early 20s, and they solve the murder. So this was great. You may though have to go back and refresh your memory on your Austen characters, because I had to do that. I was really lost when I first started this book, and I thought, okay, well, who is this person? Which book were they part of? Were they part of like Pride and Prejudice? Were they part of Northanger Abbey? So you may have to review some of that a little bit, but it's worth it. The next one is coming out, I believe, next week, and I'm already gonna go pick it up. The next book I have is Independence by Chitra Banerjee Divakaruni. I borrowed it from my library on my Kobo, so I'm yet to own a hard copy. I'm going to buy it soon, but this was easily one of my favorite books of the year so far. It's a historical fiction set in India in 1947 during the partition period, and it's actually set in East India, so that's West Bengal and Bangladesh, what's now Bangladesh, that area. And it follows the story of 3 sisters and how their lives are completely changed because of partition. And I love this for many reasons, but one of them being the complex family dynamics. You know, I love that type of trope, and I love historical fiction, and I have not read, I think, any historical fiction about the Indian partition from the British that's set in that region of India. So, you know, I read some stories like based in North India and, you know, maybe in the western part of the country, but never in the eastern part of the country. So it was certainly like a newer cultural experience for me as I was reading it. And you know what, even if you're not from that part of the world, it was such a lovely historical fiction. Like, you really get to see these 3 sisters who are really quite different from one another. I think one of them is a bit of a rebel and she wants to become a surgeon, and the other has some sort of a physical limitation, and all she really wants is like acceptance from her family. And then you have another one who has this forbidden love, and it's a coming of age story of 3 sisters, and just how drastically their lives change because of the political climate and how they reconcile with that. So it's such an amazing story. I think I will definitely reread it at some point this year. And one of my favorite books of this year so far is Such a Fun Age by Kylie Reid. You've heard me talk about this book probably already a few months ago. This is essentially a story of a black woman, a young black woman in, I want to say Pennsylvania, New York, but she's in one of those like eastern states in US, and this story really follows her kind of also coming of age in a way, but really her relationship with the white family whose daughter she babysits. So it's a really cute relationship between this, younger daughter and her babysitter, but then you get to kind of like zoom out and see this like larger diaspora of like what it looks like to be like a Black American in this day and age, and how nuanced like racism and discrimination really is. So it's a bit of a domestic drama. I was hooked onto it. I think when I started it, I finished it in 2 days. It was just so intriguing. And Kylie Reid really has this like amazing way of writing where she just kind of like wraps you in to her story. So even though it's not, like a murder mystery, or there's no mystery exactly around it, you're just following these characters on a day-to-day basis and sort of their like inner narrative as they go around in life. You are still so engrossed. So that was amazing. I think everyone should read that book. The next one I have is At Least You Have Your Health by Maddie Sinha. I finally got a copy of this. I absolutely love this book. This is my first book by this author, and this follows a story of an Indian American woman who is a single mom, and she's not a single mom, sorry. She's a busy mom of 3 kids, and she's a physician. She's a gynecologist, and essentially what happens is she gets in trouble at work and she has to walk away from her job, and then she finds herself working with a boutique firm, I believe California, which really kind of services this, ultra rich clientele, where she has to provide gynecological services to them by like going to their house and stuff. So it was really interesting, the type of character development you see from like this physician, and just some of her challenges. So, there is something that happens in the book. There's a lot of mystery around what's happened. So I can't say more than that, or I will ruin it for you. But I can see why that plot line would like hook people in. But what really hooked me in was the character development for her. Her name is Dr. Maya Rao. And she, really prides herself to be this super evidence-based, medically aligned physician. But then she finds herself in a culture now where alternative medicine and alternative medicinal practices are really, really normal. And some of them are questionable. And how she just navigates that type of industry and how she reconciles with that, it was such an interesting read. It was fun, it was lighthearted. I'm making it sound like really dark, but it was actually really lighthearted, and it was fun. And the characters are just so lovable. Okay, after that, I have People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. Gosh, I don't know what took me so long to get to this book. I have read Book Lovers by Emily Henry last year, as well as Beach Read. Beach Read was okay. Book Lovers is still number 1 for me, and this is number 2, People We Meet on Vacation. I have yet to read Happy Place. I'm actually getting my hands on it this week, so next time you hear me talk, I'll be reviewing that book. But oh my gosh, this was so good. I fell in love with Poppy and Alex. I've heard a number of people say this, and I think I wholeheartedly agree with them that no one can write banter like Emily Henry. And I've like dog-eared so many pages because there were just so many quotes, and I don't really annotate my fiction books. I annotate my nonfiction, but not fiction, but I just mark those pages. But the characters in here were so lovable. It's basically about these 2 friends who take a vacation every summer for, I believe, a number of years, and this book spans a number of years, Poppy and Alex, but otherwise they live in different states, and so they don't really see each other. So each chapter is like a vacation that they go on around the world or in different parts of the states. And Emily Henry, she does write romance, but it's also just like a lovely, lovely fiction book around discovering yourself, discovering one another, friendship, romance, and I don't know, I don't have much else to say except that it was magical. It was magical. I felt like I was with Poppy and Alex the whole time, and I was cackling up when I was reading this book. It was absolutely hilarious. Easily one for the books. My next favorite book of the year is Vera Wong. I will not harp on about it anymore. You've heard me talk about this way too many times, but it's a cozy mystery with a Chinese American elderly woman who's our female lead who takes it upon herself to solve the mystery. Absolutely love it. One of my favorite characters probably of all time. After that, I have The Vanishing Half by Britt Bennett. This was, again, you know, one of those like literary fiction books that you see everyone talk about, but I just didn't pick it up because I didn't feel, you know, I didn't really feel called to it yet, and I'm a bit of a mood reader, but I got around to reading it a couple months ago and it was incredible. It follows, it's historical fiction set in 1960s in US, and it basically follows these two black twin sisters who are really light-skinned so they can pass off as white. And so it's multi-generational. You also get to kind of see the lives of their daughters, but essentially these two twin sisters is split up. One goes to live her life as a white woman and one goes to live her life as a black woman. And so this, you know, this direct kind of contrast that you see in their lives just based on the privileges afforded to them, based on how society sees their skin color, it was just an incredible way of kind of, I think, painting this picture of privilege and discrimination, human suffering. It was great. I definitely want a hard copy of this. I think this is one book that I'm recommending to everyone this year. All right, and the very last book that is one of my favorite books of the year so far is The Age of Vice by Deepti Kapoor. Again, you've heard me talk so much about this book, but that's because it really is amazing. This is unlike anything in my collection. This is a family crime drama set in early 2000s in North India, and it's incredible. I was thinking of what show to compare this book to, and if you've seen, this is hard because I don't even watch crime shows, but if you've seen like House of Cards and, you know, shows like that, it's political, but not as political. I think House of Cards is about actually people in politics. So imagine that type of drama and crime and intrigue, but less politics. But this was incredible. It was such a ride, like reading this. A lot of mature themes, please read mindfully. But this book is unlike any other that I have read, probably because I haven't read any crime fiction, but the characters were just, if you're from that part of the world, you know that people like this exist and you know that things like this happen. So the characters were so accurately created that there was no point in this book where I was rolling my eyes and thinking, okay, well, this doesn't really happen, because it does happen. And all the characters were so incredibly complex. You really can't help but like hate all of them, appreciate some of them, feel bad for some of them, but the emotions that this book like really made me feel, it was lovely. It's not like a light read, not a beach read by any means. Took me a while to get through, but I recommend this to everyone who's looking for like a lot of drama and intrigue and something that's really explosive. This is that book. All right, everyone, those were some of my favorite books of 2023 so far. I have read so many books this year already, so I thought, you know what, might as well do this video, because if I do one at the end of the year, that one's going to be really, really long. So hope you enjoyed it. Hope this kind of gets you thinking about what are some of the books that, you know, you're still kind of recommending to people, or you're still thinking about now that we're at the halfway mark in the year. As always, if you enjoyed this video, feel free to like, subscribe, and comment down below, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.